This is the Max Keiser playbook. I've been sharing this with everybody around the world for 10 years now. And a lot of people in the world who got into Bitcoin at $1, $10, $50, $100, except for Peter Schiff, who I told to buy it at $1 or $10 and he
Oh
refused.
no, he says you didn't tell him at $1, you told him at $10.
Right. But thousands of people, hundreds of thousands of people around the world did. They're sitting on millions and millions of dollars worth of unrealized profits. And here's the thing, Stacy, I saw you were tweeting about, when are you going to sell it? And you're like, well, I'm not going to sell it because I predicted going up to 500,000 or more, and I'm just going to use it as collateral,
Yes.
borrow against it, and I can use it that way. Why would I ever sell it?
I won't sell any Bitcoin from here on out. There's lots of new platforms and services being offered for people in the Bitcoin space. So you can always just keep stacking and then borrow against your Bitcoin. And I do want to say, you can't say that Max didn't tell you so. That these people are coming, these corporations are coming, these institutions are coming. It was really triggered by Paul Tudor Jones entering the space back in the second quarter of 2020. And now we see Elon Musk and Tesla with $1.5 billion. We don't know how much SpaceX has bought, but presumably they also bought some for their treasury, but they don't have to, file that with the SEC. U.S. corporates hold record $2.5 trillion in cash to meet pandemic shock. So that's $2.5 trillion. So if they all do like Elon, how much is that? $250 billion worth of purchases coming. So even if half of them do it, that's 125. If 25% of them do it, it's like 75 billion. So there's a lot more money on corporate balance sheets where, that Tesla money came from.
Right. Look at the big picture here. There's $300 trillion worth of investable assets on planet Earth. That includes stocks, bonds, property, precious metals. How much of that is invested in Bitcoin right now? Less than 1%. So we're looking to do the Elon here, go 10%. That's $30 trillion right there. Bitcoin is still less than $1 trillion. So I figure that's how I come up with 40x from here. That's just a 10% allocation to Bitcoin. And of course, the thing is that we're going to see fiat money basically go the way of all fiat money, which is to 99.9% loss of purchasing power. So that 10% effectively becomes 50, 60, 70%. Again, there is no top to the price of Bitcoin because fiat money is a bottomless pit that loses for the past 300 years 99.9% of its purchasing power.
And in a year's time, next year, when we're doing this, we're going to look back. We're going to all watch this episode back together and laugh that Elon was able to buy that for 40,000, not 400,000.
Well, crazy pays. And what I mean is that the benefit of being crazy or having the perception of being crazy is that you can get good deals on Bitcoin still. I've often said that people say Max is crazy. But the point is that I want to make sure that I don't attract the beige people, the middle of the road people, the average investor people. I want to stay away from those people because they'll be buying it at 400, 500, 600,000 a coin. The crazy people who make their own path, they're happy to buy it at $1 or $10, $100, $1,000, $5,000. That's the path of the crazy people. Who is the same as Elon Musk. Elon Musk is perceived by many to be crazy. He goes on Joe Rogan. He's smoking a joint.
Yes.
This guy can't be trustworthy. Why would I do what this guy's doing? But that's very calculated to fend off competition. And he clearly worked this time. I mean, he was able to score a huge amount of Bitcoin still at these ridiculously cheap prices.
Who's going to come next, right, after Elon Musk? We pointed out $2.5 trillion. I don't think, I saw a lot of people talking to Tim Cook saying, oh, Tim Cook, you have what? They have like 250 billion or something on their balance sheet. Sure, they have a lot of debt, so they accumulated a huge amount of debt in order to pay the dividend without having to pay taxes and, sending out that cash. So,
the source who told me the news before the MicroStrategy conference, remember I tweeted that source told me big corporate buyer coming.
Yeah.
Turned out to be, I couldn't give the name at that time because I didn't want to get my source in trouble. So there it was Tesla, and the news has come out. The same source is telling me now, unusually, a name of a company that is in the running, according to this source, of being the next huge corporation to get into Bitcoin, and that would be Oracle with Larry Ellison.
Nevertheless, Stan Druckenmiller, who has not had one down year with his hedge fund since 1981, that's a pretty good performance. Okay. He's outperforming most other hedge funds, I would say. And he just said to Goldman Sachs that he is very, very, not just one very, very short the US dollar, which is a pretty brave call, right? A brave move to do.
Yeah, and he's shorting U.S. Treasury bonds, which has been a, as they say, widowmaker trade now for 20 years, certainly since 2008. Remember, 2008 crisis hit, and that was met with a flood of money printing, and a lot of people, pundits, financial pundits, were saying, hey, this is going to cause inflation. But it never really did cause inflation because all that free money was then bought back by the central bank. So they neutralized the impact of the money printing by doing what's called debt monetization. So this has been going on now since really 2008 in a huge way, and certainly in the larger context, certainly going back, as you point out, to the 1980s with Alan Greenspan. But now, at this juncture, I believe we're at the stage where debt monetization is not going to work anymore. So the impacts of that money printing start to seep into and leak into the economy for real. And that's why you see commodities entering now a secular bull market. So they have been in a secular bear market for a while. Now they're starting to uptick. So oil is on a tear. Oil has had the best start in 2021 in something like 18 or 19 years, or maybe longer.
30 years.
30 years. Oil's had the best start in 2021 in 30 years. You've got a big merger possibly coming on, Exxon and Chevron. There's a lot going on in the oil patch. And but all the commodities are looking very bullish. Of course, Bitcoin is a monetary commodity, you could say, in that sense. It would trade as a commodity would trade because it's counter to the dollar.
The IRS calls it a commodity.
Yeah, so the dollar, meanwhile, is looking like it's on the other side of that trade. And of course, Warren Buffett's been moving heavily into Japan. That's a bearish bet on the dollar. Mm-hmm. Stan Druckenmiller's moving into commodities and he's shorting treasury bonds. That's anti-dollar. And Bitcoin, of course, has already been telegraphing now for 10 years that the dollar is losing purchasing power. As a matter of fact, all fiat currencies, including the US dollar, have been in a hyperinflationary collapse against Bitcoin now for 10 years, and that is set to expand and extend and continue.
Point is that, like, in the lead up to him, he was acting crazy. Like, so he would probably be really bad at poker, right? He has all sorts of tells. Like, he was acting crazy, all this Dogecoin shit. Like, he took down that Bitcoin from his bio because he did kind of tweet that, like, he was concerned, like, he didn't want to get in trouble for, causing the price to go up. So, what do you think about all that Dogecoin stuff? Because a lot of people are angry at him for doing that now.
Well, I've said for years now that you don't change Bitcoin, Bitcoin changes you. And obviously Elon Musk is under the influence of Bitcoin.